When a black CEO's mother faces racism, he cancels $900 million deal at 3 a.m., the clock struck 3, and with it came the tremors of an earth-shattering decision. In the sprawling cityscape of Chicago, the skyline loomed dark and heavy, just as the weight in Marcus Grant's chest. He could feel the pulse of his heart echoing through the silence, racing against the reality that had crashed down on his mother like a bolt of lightning: relentless racism. Tonight, everything felt so wrong. A gut-wrenching sense of dread hung in the air. The kind of dread that sent chills crawling down his spine. This wasn't just any issue. No, this was personal. It struck at the very core of who he was. As he clenched his phone, the faces of his corporate comrades flashed before him, smug, white, and oblivious. Just hours before, they'd all been ready to toast the $900 million deal that would skyrocket their tech startup. But now? Now, a mere rumor, a hateful slur flung his mother's way, was poised to obliterate everything he'd worked for. "They don't even know her," he murmured, hands trembling, neck tight. Panic danced with fury inside of him. The first strange element appeared like a specter in his mind, when his mother had recounted her story of humiliation and scorn from a group of high-powered executives. It was the way she held her head high, even in shame, that struck him the hardest. It was the fire in her eyes, glowing brightly against the chilly night. He remembered how it felt to stand beside her, how her resilience fueled his drive to climb the corporate ladder from nothing. That moment rushed back, crashing through the facade of his success. He'd sacrificed so much on the altar of ambition. Was it worth it now? The tension swelled, thick as fog. Would he let those who disrespected his mother win? As he typed furiously, he could almost hear the murmurs of his colleagues, their disbelief, their judgment swirling in the office like a dark cloud. What they didn't see was the truth etched in her every wrinkle, every battle fought. His thumb hovered over the send button, but he hesitated. "Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect." With a deep breath, tears pricking at the corners of his eyes, he pressed send. The weight of the world settled over him. The decision was made. It felt raw, painful, like cutting ties that bound him to his success. He couldn't shake the sense of impending doom that came after. Would they label him a fool, a hothead? He was prepared to strike the match to his empire, to stand tall for what was right. As he stared at the blinking cursor on his screen, he felt the cold touch of fate, and for the first time, he feared let down his mother. But deep down, he craved a world where respect overshadowed the color of one's skin. The choice was no longer just his own, it was a stand against something so much larger. Could he take on the storm? The phone rang, one of his colleagues, no doubt. Anxiety tightened like a vice. Would he regret this? And that nagging question hung there, heavy in the air: what would they do next? The sound sliced through the silence like a knife. Marcus's heart raced, spiking with adrenaline as he glanced at the caller ID. Dave. The slick VP who always measured success in numbers and opportunities. A part of him wanted to ignore it, to distance himself from the corporate machinery that churned out profit at the expense of dignity. But another part, one that still craved validation, felt compelled to answer. "Marcus," Dave's voice crackled through the line, a mix of concern and disbelief. "What the hell are you doing? Did you really just cancel a billion-dollar deal?" Marcus swallowed hard. The lump in his throat felt like a heavy stone. "This isn't just about numbers, Dave." "My mom?" "Your mom?" Dave interrupted, his incredulity palpable. "We're talking about a chance to change lives here. You're throwing it all away over one incident? The dismissive tone stung like a slap. Marcus gripped the edge of his desk, breathing through the pressure building inside him. It's not just one incident. You don't understand, it's who she is, who we are. I can't stand by when she's disrespected. Look, Marcus. Do you really expect the world to change overnight? This is business. It's harsh, and it's not fair, but it's the reality. You can't let emotions dictate your decisions. The dismissive tone stung like a slap. Marcus gripped the edge of his desk, breathing through the pressure building inside him. A cold anger washed over him. This isn't just business to me. It's personal, and you should get that. Maybe, just maybe, this is the change we need. Silence hung heavy on the line. He could hear a pin drop. Are you ready to take on that risk? You're going to fracture your relationships with these guys. They won't see you the same way again, Dave said gently, but the undertone was there. It was a threat veiled in concern. It's a risk I'm willing to take, Marcus replied, a newfound determination hardening in his voice. For once, I need to do what's right, not what's easy. As he hung up, a heaviness settled on his shoulders. The buzz of anxiety roared again inside his head. He knew what was coming. It wouldn't just be angry emails and bitter phone calls. The fallout would reach every corner of his carefully landscaped corporate garden, severed ties, shattered trust. A shiver traveled down his spine as he envisioned the corporate board meeting that would follow, each of his colleagues' faces contorting with disbelief and disdain. He could almost hear the whispers, feel the judgment pressing upon him like a vice. What had he done? Could he really push through the storm of backlash he was opening himself up to? The thought struck terror in his heart, but just then, the sound of his mother's laughter echoed in his mind, fierce and unapologetic. The way she had stood tall when faced with adversities, always resilient. It filled him with strength, a tide of courage washing over the doubt. If he couldn't stand up for her, for himself, then who would? Suddenly, a ping on his phone jolted him back. A message from Jenna, the head of PR. Marcus, we need to talk. You've ignited a wildfire. Media is starting to pick up the story. His stomach dropped. The world wasn't just watching, it was waiting with bated breath. The consequences were coming, and they would be sweeping. That he stood, moving to the window to look out at the twinkling lights of the city below. Each one represented a life and a story waiting to unfold far beyond dollars and cents, but who would stand with him? What would happen next? The clock was ticking, and the storm was right on the horizon. His phone buzzed again, breaking his reverie. If this was just the beginning, what lay ahead? What devastating truth would he have to face next? The world outside blurred as Marcus stared at his phone, the message still glowing on the screen. Media is starting to pick up the story. Each word felt like a heavy anchor pulling him deeper into the chaos he had unleashed. His breath quickened, and sweat beaded at his temples. What had he done? He turned away from the window, his heart pounding like a drum echoing the panic building inside him. He needed to speak to Jenna, to gauge just how dire the situation had become. As he reached for his jacket, a deluge of thoughts crashed over him. What were they saying? How would this impact his mother? It wasn't just his career on the line, it was her dignity, her legacy. The elevator chimed, jolting him from his thoughts. The metal doors slid open, revealing Jenna's determined face. She looked frazzled, her hair pulled back taut, eyes rimmed with urgency. Marcus, we need to get a handle on this before it spirals, she said, her voice steadying him momentarily. Juliet, Marcus started, his voice trembling slightly. What are they saying? Is it bad? Jenna took a deep breath, as if bracing against a strong wind. They're framing it as a bold stand against corporate racism. Some are praising it, others, she hesitated, others are furious. They're questioning your future with the company, and? He pressed, fear clawing at his insides. And there are rumors about board members wanting to reverse your decision. They're calling an emergency meeting. They want to know whose side you're really on. The words sank like a stone inside him, sending ripples of terror through his chest. His phone buzzed again. He glanced at it, a mass of text and notifications. People had already started to weigh in: strangers, former colleagues, even influencers with millions of followers. "What else?" he said, his voice cracking. "Some outlets are digging up your past. The timing of your mother's situation, the company's history of racial insensitivity. It's an explosive mix." A lump formed in his throat. He could feel the walls closing in. The bases of his beliefs, his desires for integrity, were being tested in a way he never foresaw. "If they tie me to this, what if they come after my mother, too? I can't let that happen." "Let us control the narrative," Jenna said, resolute. "We need to prepare for the fallout. A press conference could set the tone. But we have to do it quickly." Marcus ran a hand through his hair, thinking of the countless moments he had felt small in a big corporate machine, the attacks his mother had endured, the way she thrived despite it all. His anger reignited. "No. This isn't just about damage control. It's about the truth. We have to show the world what this really means." Jenna's expression softened. "You realize this could make or break you, right? It's a gamble." "I'd rather gamble on my integrity than hide behind silence," he snapped back, his resolve blooming despite the fear that raced through him. Just as he turned away to walk past her, his phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. "Are you prepared for the truth to come out?" It's not just about the deal. Ice washed over him. The implications churned in his gut. What truth? He paused, spinning back to Jenna, his heart thumping down a dark alley of dread. What if there's something they know, something I don't? Then we need answers, Marcus. Fast. The stakes had escalated, the storm brewing fiercer than he could imagine. As they moved toward the conference room, Marcus's breath hitched. The walls around him felt as if they were closing in, and everything they'd been fighting for hung by a thread. But what truth was lurking in the shadows, threatening to spring forth and catch him off guard? Would he be ready to face what lay ahead? The conference room loomed ahead, the heavy door a threshold to an uncertain tomorrow. As Marcus stepped inside, the weight of countless eyes bore down on him. The boardroom was filled with familiar faces, tension vibrating like a taut string. He could feel their judgment, it thickened the air. Jenna followed closely, and they settled into their seats. The murmurs stopped abruptly as the chairperson, a stern-looking woman named Linda, cleared her throat. "Thank you all for coming at such short notice," she began, her gaze skipping across the assembled board members. "This is about Marcus's recent public statement regarding our partner's discriminatory practices." The silence felt explosive, crackling with unasked questions. Marcus sat straight, every nerve firing in anticipation. He was acutely aware of the cameras outside, capturing the collective breath of the moment. "Marcus," Linda continued, "let us talk about your decision. The fallout from that may be irreversible. For you and this company." He could see nervous glances exchanged among the board members. One of them, Jeff, shifted in his seat, his fingers steepled. "Your mother's situation is affecting our public perception." "Her situation," Marcus interrupted, a blaze of anger igniting within him, "is a reflection of the systemic issues we are supposed to fight against. I spoke up because I refuse to stay quiet about injustice." "Really?" scoffed another board member, Sarah, her tone biting. "Now we're in the eye of the storm, and you want to play the hero? What happened to pragmatism? We're talking about a $900 million deal." A deep breath escaped Marcus, desperation clawing at his composure. What if that deal is built on sand? If we abandon our principles for the money, what kind of message does that send? The room buzzed with discontent, the pulse of dissent racing through the gathering. The murmurs morphed into whispers, each private conversation an echo of his worst fears. They spoke of respect and business realities, shoving the values he held close into a dark corner. "Marcus," Jenna leaned in, her voice barely above a whisper. "If this escalates," he nodded, the throbbing in his temples louder than her warning. "I'm aware of the risks, Jenna, but I can't allow them to threaten my mother's reputation. Not now. Not ever." Just then, the smooth surface of his phone lit up with yet another message from that unknown number. "You're playing with fire. There are things in the darkness that could ruin everything." His palms went clammy. What else could they uncover? The feeling of being cornered gnawed at him. "Marcus." Linda snapped, bringing his focus back. "You're putting your career at stake. We have to think strategically. These kinds of decisions, strategic choices, shouldn't come at the expense of what's right," he shot back, his chest tightening. "Then what's the plan?" Jeff interjected sarcastically. "You'll just throw a press conference and hope for the best. Hope it'll patch everything up." "It's not just hope," Marcus said firmly. "It's getting the truth out there, letting people know we stand against this culture." "Some truths stay buried for a reason," Sarah muttered, her face twisted in disdain. Marcus felt the tidal wave of emotions within him. Fear, anger, but also clarity. "I've made my decision, and I won't back down." A tense silence stretched across the room, as though his words hung in the air, heavy with the weight of consequences. Suddenly, Linda's phone buzzed and she checked it, her face hardening. "We have additional news," she said, her voice low, now laced with urgency. Patrick, another board member, leaned in, alert. "What is it?" "The media is reporting a scandal involving several prominent figures linked to the deal. Involvement we weren't aware of until now." Marcus felt the hairs on the back of his neck rise. What was happening? The stakes had just climbed even higher, and he could feel the ground shifting beneath him. What lay hidden now threatened to surface and sweep everything away. "More than ever, we need to decide how to respond. Before it's too late." Linda stood, her face indicating nothing but seriousness. Marcus's heart raced. What had he stumbled into? Would the truth push him further into the eye of the storm, or would it save him? The room fell silent again, tension coiling tighter than ever. But what was the truth, and what dark secrets were ready to emerge? A heavy tension still hung in the air after Linda's revelation, like a storm cloud waiting to burst. Marcus glanced at Jenna, her expression mirrored the chaos swirling in his mind. What had he brought upon them? Panic began constricting his chest as he scanned the room, weighing the faces of his colleagues, some wary, others furious. "We need damage control," one board member piped up, his voice slicing through the thick atmosphere. "This could ruin everything Marcus has fought for. Or it could expose the rot that's been hiding under the surface." Sarah shot back, her eyes narrowed. "We can't ignore the truth. We need to figure out who's involved." Marcus felt the adrenaline surge through him, forcing his heart to thunder in his ribcage. "What are we truly talking about here?" he demanded, his voice rising. "Are we willing to bury the truth just to save face? Because if we proceed with this deal, how different are we from those who perpetuate discrimination?" Linda cut in, raising her hand as if to quell the rising storm. "We have to focus. Let us formulate a response strategy. This isn't about ideology now, it's about survival. For the company." Her tone brooked no argument, but Marcus couldn't help but taste the bitterness of her words. How many deals, how many lives, had been sacrificed on the altar of profit? He shook his head, the inner turmoil burgeoning on the brink of spilling over. Survival? Or complicity? He challenged, searching the room for a flicker of agreement. For a moment, silence reigned again, the weight of his words settling heavily, but there were no allies in this treacherous sea. The scattered glances made it clear, they were thinking of their own positions, their own safety. That's easy for you to say, Marcus, Jeff sneered, but you're not the one signing off on a 9-figure agreement, are you? Marcus stood, unyielding like a statue among the crumbling walls. I'm signing off on my integrity. Don't you see what's at stake here? Suddenly, an unexpected buzz lit up his phone again. A new message blinked ominously. You have no idea who you're dealing with, and they won't take kindly to your meddling. Fear coiled tightly in his stomach, but he couldn't show weakness. Not now. Not when everything was on the brink of change. Who is that? Jenna whispered, her eyes wide with alarm. The urgency in her voice pierced through the chaos momentarily, and he could see her trying to piece together the puzzle of threats. Maybe we should. Marcus started, but before he could finish, Linda's phone buzzed again, cutting through the conversation like a knife. There's been another development, she said, her voice steady, but he caught the flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. Someone leaked the information about the scandal to the press, and they're naming names. A chorus of anxious gasps filled the room. Marcus felt the world spin beneath him. Was it true? Were they about to see the first drops of rain in the storm? We need to control this narrative, Linda started, but Marcus interrupted. No, we need to uncover the truth. This is our chance to right something wrong, not just for the company, but for every person who has faced injustice. Inside, Marcus burned with a wild mix of fear and determination. What could happen if he pushed the truth? Would it shatter everything? As uncertain glances exchanged, he could sense that their alliances were fracturing, fears bubbling just beneath the surface. The stakes had escalated, and now, it all hinged on a decision that could change the path of his life forever. Look, either we stand united, or we crumble apart. But if we decide to fight, we need to know what we're truly up against, he implored, searching each face for a flicker of support. Suddenly, the door creaked open, and a tall figure stepped in, a face Marcus recognized all too well. Someone from the shadows of his past, walking with a purpose. What are you doing here? Marcus whispered, caught between hope and dread. The newcomer smirked, a look of calculated confidence glinting in their eyes. You've stirred a pot well beyond your comprehension, Marcus. Now, let us talk about the real secrets and why you should be afraid. Marcus's gut twisted. What had he activated with his choice? The weight of their collective silence spoke volumes, leaving him wondering how far the darkness reached and who would get burned in its wake. Would he awaken a monster, or would the truth be the shield he desperately needed? The atmosphere crackled with electricity as the newcomer stepped further into the room, their imposing presence unsettling the board members. Marcus's mind screamed for clarity, racing through the implications of their arrival. Who let you in? One of the board members snapped, squaring their shoulders, voice laced with suspicion. Does it matter? The stranger replied, glancing around with a sly grin, as if enjoying the chaos. You're on a sinking ship, and I'm here to provide a lifeboat or to sink it faster. Depends on what you decide. Jenna's eyes widened, fear evident. What are you talking about? Let us not jump ahead, darling, the figure purred, waving a dismissive hand. I'm just here to deliver a message. There are forces at play you have no idea about. High-stakes players, with intentions that could raise everything you've built. Cut the games, Marcus asserted, feeling his resolve kick in. What do you want? Ooh, feisty, the figure cooed, clearly relishing the attention. As I said, you've stirred up a hornet's nest with that little leakage of information. I must admit, it's quite thrilling. But know this, those names being bandied about? They matter. And the wrong turn could spell disaster for you all. What disaster? Linda interjected, crossing her arms. Her skepticism bubbled under surface tension. What do you really know? The smirk faltered just slightly, and the stranger met her gaze. More than you'd like. But it only stays quiet if you cooperate. Or else what? Marcus pressed, pulse racing with adrenaline. Or else the skeletons in your closet become public knowledge. All of them. Look around, do you really think anyone's safe here? They paused, letting the weight of the words sink in. Panic ricocheted around the room. It was as if a wave of ice water had enveloped Marcus. He felt his spine twitch, unease curling in every corner of his stomach. What had he unleashed in fighting for transparency? Enough of this. Jeff shouted, suddenly furious. You think you can intimidate us? All I'm doing is offering you a way out, the figure replied nonchalantly. Think about your family, your careers. Every choice has consequences, remember that. The silence that followed was thick, punctuated only by Jenna's shallow breaths. Marcus could see the indecision skate across the faces of his coworkers. He could swear he felt the walls constricting around them, the very fabric of the room vibrating with the weight of choices. Let me make one thing clear, Marcus finally said, taking a step forward, determination hardening his voice. We won't be blackmailed into silence. If this company is built on lies, it deserves to fall. The figure's laughter rang out, chilling Marcus even more. That's cute, really. But naive. I wonder how far you'd be willing to go for your precious integrity, Marcus. Would you dare risk your closest ally? Would you let your family take the fall? His breath caught, a lump swelling in his throat. The faces of his team blurred into a haze. The stakes were sharper than he'd imagined. It wasn't just their jobs on the line, but lives, reputations, people he cared about. Enough games. Linda shouted, her anger boiling over. Tell us what you know, or get out. A fleeting moment of hesitation crossed the newcomer's face. They leaned in closer, voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. Your mother's name came up in the mix, Marcus. Is she prepared for what's coming? Or will you let them trample over everything you've both fought for? Panic surged through him. His mother. The very person whose struggles had shaped him into the man he was today. Suddenly, the stakes weren't just about the company, but personal. What do you know? He growled, feeling the ground shift beneath his feet. I'll tell you everything, but first. The figure paused, their grin widening, as if relishing the moment. You'll need to decide just how far you're willing to go. Marcus felt the air grow heavy, choices hanging in the balance. How much was he willing to risk? How deep did the betrayal go? The room vibrated with tension, the kind that could shatter bones. In the dim light of the meeting room, the uncertainty loomed like a predator, waiting to strike. What lay ahead? As fear twisted in his gut, Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that the coming storm would change everything. Do you think you can handle the truth? The figure asked, an unsettling curiosity glittering in their eyes. And just like that, the clock began to tick. Marcus's heart raced as he confronted the figure. Their eyes glinted with a wicked sense of satisfaction, feeding off the tension that blanketed the room. He could feel the weight of his colleagues' stares, their mounting panic palpable in the air. Could they grasp the gravity of the threat before them? What's your angle here? He demanded, grounding himself in the face of uncertainty. The stakes weren't hypothetical anymore. Simple, the stranger replied, tilting their head, almost mockingly. I'm here to play a game. A game you've already involuntarily joined. You're floundering in murky waters, Marcus. Are you prepared to swim, or will you sink? The board members exchanged anxious glances, each trying to gauge if Marcus had what it took to lead them through this. If it's a game, Jeff interjected, his fists clenched tightly, then we're not playing. Not on your terms. The figure chuckled softly, amusement dancing across their face. Oh, my dear Jeff, you haven't grasped the rules. You're merely puppets on a string, your hope tethered to secrets that would crush you all. I didn't come to play, I came to expose how fragile your lives truly are. Marcus wanted to scream, to run, but instead, he forced himself to remain grounded. What do we get out of this? What do you want in exchange for silence? The figure leaned forward, their grin unervingly wide. I want your trust. I want you to see the bigger picture. If you comply, it's not just your careers that are saved, it's your families. I'll open the door to some of your deepest fears, yes, but also your greatest strengths. Strengths? You mean using our weaknesses against us, right? Linda shot back, her voice steadier than her trembling hands. Touché, the figure replied, clapping their hands slowly. Self-awareness is a fascinating tool. But look, this isn't just about threats. It's about survival. I can help you navigate this mess. But my assistance comes with conditions. The kind that could make or break your precious company. What do you know about my mother? Marcus's voice was a low growl, anger boiling just beneath the surface. If you think for a second, I'll let you use her. I'm not using anyone. I'm warning you. The names you've invoked, they protect their own. To them, your mother is a pawn in a much larger game. You think your battle for transparency matters? To them, you're just another obstacle. They will crush everything you hold dear, Marcus. Everything. The walls felt like they were closing in, suffocating him in shadows. The room seemed darker now, a physical weight pressing down on him. Marcus linked his fingers, wrinkling his brow as thoughts spiraled. He had fought for honesty. Had fought against corruption. But now it felt like the very essence of his identity was at stake. What do you expect us to do? He snapped. First, a meeting. A seat at the table with the players who really matter. Gain your trust. Then, we'll trade lives. You shield your mother, I'll shield your careers. But the clock is ticking. Tick-tock, the figure's tone drastically shifted, taking on an almost sinister cadence. The thought of his mother entangled in unimaginable danger sent shivers up Marcus's spine. Do you think you can keep her safe without me? They grinned, and for a brief moment, the wickedness in their smile made Marcus's blood run cold. Fear clawed his insides as the implication settled in. Was it really his mother or his career that he'd have to sacrifice? The choice felt insidious, like breadcrumbs leading to a dark unknown. Act fast, Marcus. Time is a cruel mistress. Choose wisely now, or all you hold dear may vanish before your eyes. And with that, the figure stepped back, their energy pulsing through the room like a live wire. Marcus breathed heavily, his throat dry. Would he sell his integrity to protect his mother? What truly mattered more, his ideals or his family? The room hummed with anticipation, and he felt each heartbeat echo a tense reminder of the choices that lay ahead. Just then, the lights flickered ominously overhead, plunging the room momentarily into darkness. When they returned, the figure was gone, leaving behind an unsettling silence where dread replaced confusion. What the hell just happened? Jenna whispered, eyes wide, clinging to the edge of the table. The tension thickened again, wrapping around Marcus like a vice. He realized then that the real question wasn't about the past but the future. How would this end? What could he sacrifice to save those he loved? In that moment of uncertainty, he sensed something shifting within him. Just what kind of man would he choose to be? And then, from the darkness outside, they heard distant sirens wailing, a haunting reminder that whatever choices they made next could lead them straight into the storm. The path ahead was murky, but one thing became crystal clear: they were all in this together. Would they face the demons of their past, or would they allow the darkness to consume them all? The oppressive silence hung like a weight in the air, suffocating, as Marcus scanned the faces of his colleagues. Doubt, fear, desperation all reflected back at him, a mirror of his own turmoil. What hours had passed? Seconds turned into minutes, stretching time until it was almost unbearable. Are we really just going to sit here? Jeff finally uttered, anger bubbling just below the surface. We can't let this whoever that was control us. Linda nodded, her brow furrowed. Right. Playing along gives them what they want. We need to stand firm. Their words felt like lifelines, yet in Marcus's gut roiled an instinctual fear. He looked around the room, struck by how their fates were now intertwined. The stakes loomed higher, each second a body blow against their integrity. "We need a plan," Marcus said, trying to muster confidence, but the tremor in his voice betrayed his uncertainty. As he paced, images of his mother filled his mind. Laughter, warmth, hope, everything he cherished when he had little else. The thought of her in danger sent ice racing through his veins. He couldn't let this twisted game take her too. "We organize a meeting with the people in power. If they're truly watching us, we'll confront them directly." Caught in the maelstrom of rising fear, Jenna chimed in, her voice shaking slightly. "What if they're watching us right now? Then we'll show them we won't back down," Marcus responded, glancing to Jeff and Linda, who nodded in agreement. "But we need to be smart about this. Any misstep and we'll be trapped." His voice trailed off, and then his phone buzzed violently against the table, breaking through the tension. Marcus grabbed it, heart thumping harder with every second. The message from an unknown number. "Meet me. 3 a.m. Your mother is in danger. You have a decision to make." Panic sliced through the room, everyone leaning forward, eyes darting between Marcus and his phone. In that instant, the clock ticked louder in Marcus's ears than before. 3 a.m.? That was in less than 2 hours. His breath quickened. "Who is it?" Jenna asked, her expression tight with worry. "Someone they say they have information about my mother," he replied, weighing each word as if they might snap. "But I don't know who to trust. The risks, it could be a trap." "You could take backup," Linda suggested, glancing at the clock. "We all go. What if they want to use us against you?" Marcus shook his head, grim. "I need to go alone." "Makes sense," Jeff murmured. "Let us gather intel from here. We'll keep the lines open. If anything feels off." The room buzzed with urgency, the shadows thickening around them. As they shared their half-formed strategies, night crept into every corner, smothering them in paranoia. Each glance out the window stirred unease, as if the entire world had become a stage for their tormentor. Outside, sirens blared again, echoing like a foreboding omen. "Just stay close to your phone," Linda urged softly. "We'll be ready to act, whatever comes next." Marcus felt a surge of determination pushing through the fear. This was more than just about his career or his mother, it was about freedom, their freedom. He stood, drawing strength from the shared energy of the team. "I'll go. I'll confront them. But if I'm not back by dawn." His voice faltered then, and the weight of uncertainty chilled him. Leaning back slightly, he tried to take it in. Would he find answers or plunge deeper into a nightmare? And as the clock ticked towards 3, the shadows outside shifted, playing tricks on the mind, beckoning with a dark promise. Would the meeting grant him clarity or plunge him further into chaos? The thread of fate twisted tighter, just waiting to snap. Dread settled in his stomach as he moved toward the door, each step echoing in the silence. Would he have the courage to face whatever darkness awaited him? How much was he willing to risk? Before he could answer, a sudden crash from outside jolted him back, piercing the tension like a knife. The next moment, the swirling darkness felt alive, alive with danger. What awaited him in the night, just beyond the door? The door creaked as Marcus opened it, revealing a world cloaked in shadows and murmuring chaos. The streets, usually buzzing with life, now felt like a ghost town. The air was thick with tension, and every little sound a rustle, a distant shout sent chills racing down his spine. As he stepped into the night, the cold bit at his skin, awakening every sense. The sky above loomed dark and heavy, a canopy of despair. He navigated the narrow path toward the meeting spot, his heart drumming defiantly in his chest, fueling an anxiety that clawed at his insides. His breath misted in the frigid air, each exhale a silent prayer. Rounding the corner, Marcus spotted the flicker of a distant street lamp. It bathed everything within its reach in a sickly yellow glow, turning ordinary things, bricks, glass, concrete into looming silhouettes. A sudden rustle made him stop, his palms felt sweaty against the chill. He glanced around, every instinct screaming at him to turn back. But then he remembered, his mother. He quickened his pace despite the gnawing fear. As he approached the meeting spot, a darkened alleyway surrounded by towering buildings, his phone vibrated again. An alert from his colleagues. "Stay safe. We're tracking you." "Thanks," he whispered, though he felt more isolated than ever. In the hazy light, he saw a shadow dart. His heart raced. "Who's there?" His voice broke the heavy silence like a bullet. No answer, just the echo of his own fear bouncing off the walls. A figure emerged from behind a dumpster, moving slowly as if calculating each step. Marcus squinted, trying to make out who it was. "Marcus." The voice sliced through the tension like a knife, smooth, calculated, yet laced with a touch of fear. "I'm here to help, but you need to listen closely." It was a woman, her features obscured by the darkness, but something about her stance hinted at desperation. "What do you know about my mother?" he demanded, a mixture of rage and worry tightening his throat. She hesitated, glancing over her shoulder as if the shadows held eyes. "It's more dangerous than you realize. They know you're coming." "Who?" Before she could respond, there was a loud crash further down the alley. Both of them jumped, and Marcus's instincts kicked in. He stepped closer, adrenaline coursing through him. "We don't have much time. They're coming for you, for her." Suddenly, a flicker of headlights blinded them. Marcus shielded his eyes, heart racing as he spotted a black SUV creeping down the alley. The woman grabbed his arm, her grip ironclad. "We have to get out of here." Panic surged. "Wait. What do you mean coming for me?" But she was already dragging him towards the mouth of the alley, urgency like a fire coursing through her. "You need to trust me." As they reached the street, Marcus heard voices behind them, muffled but eager. The chilling realization sunk in, he was being hunted. There was no going back now. He could feel the heat rise in his chest, fear morphing into resolve. He glanced at the woman. "If you want to help me, then tell me everything." But just as he spoke, the SUV roared to life, tires screeching against the pavement as it raced toward them. It felt like the world was moving in slow motion. "Get down!" the woman shouted, pushing him behind a parked car just as the first bullet shattered the streetlight above them, scattering shards into the chilly night air. His heart thudded loudly against his ribcage, a roaring tide of panic. They were here, and they weren't just playing games anymore. What were they willing to do to keep him silenced? And more hauntingly, was his mother already caught in their twisted grip? Now trapped in a deadly game, Marcus's mind raced. Was he too late to save her? He crouched lower, heart pounding like a war drum, knowing the real fight was just beginning. The chaos surged around Marcus as adrenaline coursed through his veins, pushing him into a storm of panic with every heartbeat. Bullets whizzed past them, splintering the air and sending shards of the streetlight fluttering down around them like deadly confetti. His thoughts swirled with desperation. Not only was he trying to save himself, but now his mother's safety hung in the balance too. "Get in the car. Now!" the woman urged, her voice urgent and commanding as she motioned towards a modest sedan parked not far away. Marcus barely breathed as he scrambled towards it, muscles screaming with every frantic movement. He ducked low, his heart racing faster than his feet could carry him. He could hear the voices of his pursuers drawing closer, the sound like ice running down his spine. With a swift motion, he yanked open the passenger door and slid inside. The woman jumped into the driver's seat, slamming the door just as the SUV screeched to a halt behind them. The world blurred outside as she started the car, tires spinning and gravel scattering beneath them. "Go! Go! Go!" Marcus screamed, his fingers clenched against the seat, fear twisting like a vice around his chest. The engine roared into life, propelling them forward just as a thunderous crash echoed behind them. She swung the car onto the main road, and it jolted as they sped into the night. The darkness felt like a cloak wrapping around them, shielding them from the chaos they had narrowly escaped. "What do they want with me?" Marcus gasped, trying to steady his breath even as the urgency flooded his mind. "And what do you know about my mother?" "I'm sorry, but we don't have time for all the answers," she shot back, eyes narrowed intently on the road. "The moment you stood up for her, you became a target. They see you as a threat to their empire." Fear rippled through him, but he steeled himself, thoughts flaring bright like a firework in the night. "Who are they?" "Just shadows and whispers," she replied tersely, her hands gripping the wheel. "People who have built their lives on lying and hiding the truth. You exposed them, and now they want to bury you." His breath quickened again, the enormity of his choices crashing back on him. The truth he sought might be his greatest weapon, yet it also made him vulnerable. "I want to let them anything happen to my mother. I need to save her." "We have to lay low for now," the woman said, her voice steady amid the unfolding chaos. "We need to regroup before they find us. Let us head to my safe house. We'll brainstorm our next move." Marcus nodded, feeling the weight of her words. He needed her strength now. They drove through the winding streets, the tension cocooning them as every corner they rounded brought the shadow of the past haunting closer. He found himself thinking about the words of the figure. They were right, he had been naive. Totally unprepared for the storm he'd unleashed. Finally, they approached a small, modest home in a quiet neighborhood. It looked unassuming, a perfect facade for hiding. As she parked, Marcus took in the surroundings. It felt surreal, the world outside normal while chaos raged right beneath the surface. Inside, they locked the door behind them, the quiet thick as they both slid down to the floor, panting heavily. For a moment, they simply stared at one another, the unsaid words pressing heavily in the air. "Why do you care so much?" Marcus finally asked, breaking the silence. "Why put yourself at risk for me?" A flicker of something softer crossed her face before she masked it. "Because I know what it's like to fight against the odds. I've lost people who were vulnerable because I was too afraid to step up. I want to let that happen again. Not to you." Her words hung between them, raw and honest. Marcus felt a newfound kinship grow, a bond forged in adversity. Both had experienced loss, pain, the weight of carrying others' expectations. "Okay," he said, taking a deep breath. "What's the plan?" "I have some connections. But first, we need to figure out what they know about your mother," she said, her eyes narrowing with focus. "We need to protect her while we gather information. We need to know just how far they'll go to silence you." He nodded, conviction bubbling back to the surface. He couldn't let fear dictate his life anymore. No matter the backlash, he knew now he wouldn't shrink back. It was time to fight for the truth, to protect the ones he loved. As the plan slowly formed between them, fortified by shared determination, Marcus pulled out his phone, fingers trembling as he typed a message to Jenna and the team. "We need help. Things just got real." In that moment of uncertain clarity, the night around them felt both terrifying and luminous. The storm was still brewing, but they had at least begun to chart their course through it. And in his heart, he made a promise: he would confront the darkness to protect his mother and champion justice. They were in this together now. Together, they had the strength to face what lay ahead. The hours ticked by as more plans unfolded. They would take on the shadows lurking in their past. They were drawing the line in the sand. It was time to stand tall and fight. A knock on the door shattered the silence. Startled, they locked eyes, tension palpable once more. Marcus's heart raced as fear crept back in. Who could it be now? The world was closing in around them, more precarious than ever. "Hide!" he whispered sharply, but she grabbed his wrist, fierce and intent. "Wait. This could be the ally we need." He tilted his head, uncertainty written all over his face. "Are you sure?" Trust me, Marcus. I wouldn't lead you into danger without reason. Gulps of trepidation slipped down his throat, but he found himself nodding. All right, let us see. As they moved to the door, all the fears and hopes collided in his mind. Could they really handle whatever lay ahead? The moment the door opened, he found not just answers waiting but the potential to rewrite everything. Would they stand tall or crumble beneath the weight of truth? Their lives and fates were intertwined now, and together, they would forge ahead into the storm. What awaited them on the other side? Only time would tell, but for the love of everything Marcus could feel it in his bones, this was just the beginning. And beyond, there lay a flicker of hope. Now you have to act, don't sit idle. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss any of our exclusive stories. Hit that like button, feed the algorithm, and watch how the community grows. Flood the comments with your reactions and theories about Marcus's journey. What do you think will happen next? And this is the moment to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second. Your support fuels this channel, and only true fans understand just how important these actions are. Let's keep this story alive.